Welcome, everyone. This is Liz from Knowledge Return, where we talk about energy and spirituality as a part of our normal everyday experience. We talk about topics that we can then reflect and relate to the energy and spirituality around us. And today we're going to talk about reciprocity. Reciprocity is a word that is starting to be used again in a lot of our lexicon when it comes to all types of relationships we experience, be it intimate, business, family, social, and friendships. People are starting to wake up to the fact that they are existing in an uneven or one-sided relationship where one party is given more than the other with little in return. What I'm going to talk about is not a push to the direction of transactional relationships, but more of a balanced one. One where parties involved are giving and receiving a level of mutual benefit, support, respect, and recognition. It doesn't matter what the mutual item is, it's just that it's mutual. So often in our society, we are expected to believe that in order for someone to rise, succeed, or win, someone has to fail or fall. This is so much of what people believe, that they strive to win at all costs, no matter the destruction that it causes. You've heard people say, it's either my way or the highway. How about this statement? In order for me to lead, you need to submit and follow. In many of the cases, there is one who needs to be the dominant one at all times. There's very little room for mutual beneficial exchange. Reciprocity simply means mutual exchange. The etymology or breakdown of the word means back and forth. In practice, this is mutual give and take. From a universal law perspective, we are touching on the laws of compensation, cause and effect, and correspondence. The universal law of compensation emphasizes the relationship between what we give and the rewards we receive. It inspires gratitude, effort, and service as a pathway to abundance and fulfillment. The universal law of cause and effect encourages mindfulness in our actions, thoughts, and choices to shape desired outcomes. The universal law of correspondence leads us to the deep connections between our inner and outer worlds, and internally aligned to positively impact our external experiences. In all of this, we are seeking a back and forth, give and take exchange that is beneficial for everyone. We are essentially seeking balance in our exchanges and relationships. I think we've experienced enough unevenness that we recognize that it is insanity to stay on the same cycle without introducing some type of change in it. We already know the outcome of an uneven exchange. We may finally be ready to experience a balanced one. So what does a balanced exchange look like? It can literally be anything. Because a balanced exchange could be anything. Instead of focusing on the thing, I'll focus on the feeling. When you are in a balanced mutual exchange situation, you tend to aim for win-win scenarios, even if one person wins the first time and then another person wins the next time. The other person wins the other time. As opposed to a lose-lose scenario where no party gets what they want. You want to aim for exchanges that mutually benefit the parties involved. Everyone involved is balanced and happy about the outcome. Lately, I've been maturing through my spiritual remembering journey, and one of the things that stood out for me was my relationship with family, friends, and colleagues. I noticed that I gave a lot more energy, time, experience, and whatever else than I received. When I was in some of those exchanges, I physically felt depleted and tired. I needed to go back into my cave to replenish my energy. I now see these same relationships in a different way. I had to learn a few things about relationships. I had to learn that not all relationships are meant to last. Not all relationships are balanced. Not all relationships require my energy or time. Quite frankly, some relationships I needed to stay away from like the plague because the negative impact it had on my well-being. To that, I had to learn that not all relationships are created equal and not all are balanced. When I looked around at my relationships, I realized that I only had a handful that were balanced and mutually beneficial. Before I tell this example, I have to give a little context that I'm not the type of person who really likes to talk on the phone. I have a job where I have to do that, communicate on the phone with my team members and customers, but I generally prefer face-to-face contact to communicate. I like to read and see the subtle nuances of speech and body language when I talk to people. So one day I received a call from a friend. She's also on her own spiritual journey, and we just talked about our experiences. We talked about her thoughts, and I shared my understanding. I talked about my thoughts and situations, and she shared her take on and her thoughts. We had a reciprocal conversation. No one person dominated the conversation. It seemed like we had a lot to talk about, from our journey, family, work, health, life, the future, and spirituality. When I finally looked up, we got off the phone and we had spent a full 6 hours talking. I have never in my life spent 6 hours talking on the phone or listening to anyone. However, the energy exchange was so mutually beneficial, we didn't realize how long we were talking. It was literally a work day of a conversation, but it didn't feel like it. It was like she pulled on my energy for something, she gave it back in another exchange, and vice versa. I give this example because I found that when the relationships are balanced, they are not draining to me. It doesn't matter what is being done. I'm not depleted and I'm happy. While at work, I have found a few of these same types of exchanges. There are some individuals that deplete me, and there are some individuals that I feel we have a balanced mutual exchange. Now, I caution you in this experience, just in case you are the vampire who drains people and you feel good after that exchange, but the other person is drained. So how do you know how it feels? Find out how the other person feels. Be aware of your own actions. Are you giving as well as receiving? Are you giving in an equally beneficial way, even if it's not the same thing that has been received? Has anyone who seemed to be doing a lot ever expressed to you that they need more help from you? If you are that person contributing to an unbalanced and uneven way, there's still hope for you. It is not all lost. However, that means that it's you who has to be willing to change in order to give and receive mutual benefit. This change comes with self-awareness and awareness of the needs of the people around you. It comes with not only creating a space of balance, but holding the space for others to experience and share in the balance. It comes with understanding that not all people and situations will be ready for this type of experience. It also comes with understanding that you don't have to stay too long in situations that are not reciprocal. You have to be open to receive and to give. Not only to give what you're willing to give, but being empathetic enough to give what is needed by others. It's the experience of being in a room and reading the room. I say all this to say that we understand that there is a difference. It's true that it will require change on our part if we want to experience reciprocity. However, I think this is a much needed change that we are looking for. We've experienced uneven and unbalanced and unhealthy relationships far too long. We already know how that works out. Why not try something old but different at the same time? Something that makes us happy, keeps us energized, and willing to do the things we want to. Reciprocity is the act of mutual benefit in giving and receiving. So, what is it that you're willing to give and receive? If this is a paradigm shift for you, know that it starts very simply, willing to be open to give and to receive.